All right. Well, we are here and joined by a very special guest today, the Director of Public Relations for the Chicago Wolves, Lindsey Willhite. Lindsey, thank you so much for coming on. How are you today, man?
It's my pleasure. I'm doing great. What's new with you all?
Not much. Just real excited to talk with you a little bit more. I know we've been in contact with you for quite some time. Well, Jarom has been in contact with you for quite some time. So we're excited to have you on and talk a little bit about Wolves hockey and kind of dive into that side of Chicago hockey, because it was a great year for you guys last year.
Oh, it was unbelievable. It's one of those things where, you know, it's weird to be playing hockey in June, but people around here kind of accustomed to it between us and the Hawks. It was great to be back in that arena and made for a short off season, but it also got a lot of people excited, and we can't wait.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the best time of the year, right?
Oh,
Of
hell
course.
yeah.
Definitely.
Of course. Yeah. So why don't we start out with kind of like a background on you a little bit. You know, how long have you been with the Wolves? You know, kind of going into, you know, how you got started with them.
Oh boy, here's the part where the people click off the podcast right off the jump. But hey, who am I to argue how we start this? This is going to be my 9th season with the Wolves. I joined them in 2011. Prior to that, I was a sports writer with the Daily Herald for 22 years, where I covered high schools, colleges, pros. I was fortunate enough to be in Houston when the White Sox won the World Series. I was fortunate enough to have beer poured on me the night at Wrigley in 2003 when we didn't know who Bartman was at the time, but trying to go down the left field line and find out who was out there. I got beer poured on me from the upper deck. I was on the ice in Philly in 2010 after the Hawks won that cup, and to kind of just be part of that atmosphere and see everybody just rejoice, and just it's probably the biggest, most satisfying celebration I've ever watched. I'm not part of it, obviously, because I'm chronicling it, but just to see the giddiness and the happiness and the relief and the families and the players and the Hawks staff and everybody just exulted in that achievement was an unbelievable part of my professional career. But then, you know, you stinking millennials, you don't read newspapers much anymore. So at some point I realized, hey, if I'm gonna have a job until I want to work, until I can retire, I need to find a new venue. And the Wolves are a fabulous place to be. It's a group. Obviously, hockey matters in Chicago, and sports matter in Chicago, and people like live sports. And I like being around athletes. I like writing about them. I like helping tell their stories. And so, poof! I joined the Wolves in 2011, and here we are now.
That's awesome. Did you actually have much of a hockey background going into doing that, or did you just kind of follow hockey going like throughout your life going up into that job?
So it's funny. I grew up in Champaign, where there's one rink in 100 square miles or something. So, you know, I never learned how to skate. Hockey didn't really matter that much. Cable TV, I mean, you couldn't really get the Hawks. You could get some road games on cable. So I wasn't a huge hockey fan growing up, but I moved up here, again, to signal how old I am. I graduated in 1988 and moved up to the Chicago area right after that. And I realized there was this huge community that goes to bars and watches the Hawks, because that's the only place you can watch the hockey. So I'd go to Maxfield's in Palatine, and it'd just be jammed with people watching the game at the bar. And so I got into hockey that way. To say I was an expert would be way overestimating it. Really, the role I had with the Daily Herald was the Hawks would play and play and play and play, and the great Tim Sassone was our beat writer, and he was an unbelievable guy. And then it'd get close to the playoffs, and they'd say, hey, we need some more help from some other people. Lindsey, why don't you go out and help out and write some sidebars and do some things? And so I would jump on when they would get close to the playoffs or in the playoffs, which meant in the 90s, a lot of years, I didn't help at all. There was I'm getting fuzzy on this. There was a year when the Hawks made the playoffs against the Blues, and Karpatsev might have actually had a game-winning goal in Game 1, and then the Hawks promptly got swept the rest of the way.
2001.
Yeah, 2001. I was going to say 02, but yeah, I'm glad you're here to fact check me here. And then it was 2009 when the Hawks came back around and really started building that squad and got close. So I was around for all of that. And then 2010, and then 2011 when man, it was hard to go back to back. And they still almost made it out of that first round, and then switched over to the Wolves from there. So I was by no means a hockey expert. I'm by no means a hockey expert now, but hockey guys are the best athletes in sports to deal with, without a doubt. The best to be around, and so I'm grateful to be a part of the Wolves organization.
So, out of all of that, out of all the years of covering and everything like that, do you have any specific, any specific stories that you wrote that you're like, that one was good. That one was a good one. I did well on that one.
No. It's a weird thing where I guess I said it, that's true. Usually I write something and I think, oh, that's crap. Can we swear? Can I say crap on here?
Oh, yeah. Say whatever you want.
You can say crap. You can say poop. You can say darn.
That was almost verging on shit, It was, I didn't really capture it there. And then maybe I'll go back 5 or 10 years later and go, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't the worst thing I ever wrote. But it's just kind of a weird thing I have. There was, before in addition to covering some pros, I covered a lot of college football and basketball. So when Illinois went to the NCAA championship game in 2005, I covered that team for several years, and I probably wrote a couple decent articles on that team. But you tend to remember the losses as opposed to the wins.
Yeah.
So now that you're doing the PR side of things, what's like a typical day for you with the Wolves?
Oh, I think the official answer is there is no typical day. But, yeah. Well, I'll give you an example. So for today, for example, it's Sunday. We're all off. Well, heck no. Today's the first day of kind of unofficial training camp for us. So after we get off this podcast, I'm gonna wipe a washcloth across my face, maybe even shower, and then head to Hoffman Estates, head to Trip on Ice Arena to go see the coaches and a few of the guys, and just kind of hang around and say, hey, what'd you do for your vacation? How was summer? So on, and see them on the ice a little bit. And then tomorrow morning, Monday, we get right into it, and we start camp. We'll have 5 days of camp, including 2 exhibition games, and then we roll right into game week in our opener Saturday, October 5 at Allstate Arena. So if it's a game day, I'm at the arena probably from 9 a.m. until midnight, doing notes, morning skate, getting the press box ready, doing videos, doing social media, and then the game itself. In the office, I have a social media coordinator, Jen Jordan, who's awesome, and a media relations coordinator, Spencer Engelnatsky, who's awesome, but leaving me in a week to move back to Madison. But anyway, so I oversee them. I work on, I don't even know how to, anything you see from the Wolves, whether it's a billboard, an ad, in the magazine, in the arena, any written word, I either write or edit. If you hear it on the score, so I'm editing those things. We're planning social media strategy. We're trying to get our message out in a million ways, and just trying to craft that as best I can.
Yeah. So that you brought up, like, you pretty much, building this whole media plan and marketing. How hard is it for you to plan marketing for a team that you kind of don't know on a daily basis if you're going to have your top guys or who's going to be there? So what do you do? How hard is it to try to build this team up to the community with not really knowing who's going to be there?
That's a really good question. The short answer is that we try to brand that we are the Wolves. It's the old Seinfeld thing. You're rooting for laundry, kind of, right? We've been around. This is going to be our 26th year, so we've been around a long time. We won 4 championships. Hopefully, you've been to a game or 5. If you're out there in the community, so you're rooting for the Wolves. You like the pregame show. You like the fact that we are this close to the NHL level. one of the things I like to cite in sorry for branding alert or PR alert, we've had 358 of our guys out of about 600 over the years have played in the NHL. So that's more than 50% of our guys. So they've either been in the league or they're on their way to the league. So that's kind of a hopefully a relevant point or something that people appreciate without having to specifically say, hey, we've got Eric Brandstrom, first-round draft pick, who's going to be there soon, or we've got Nick Hague, second-round pick, or we have Brandon Peary, or whomever it might be. So yes, when we have them, we make sure to highlight the top guys, but it's more about the team, the brand, and winning is what we try to focus on first.
So it's kind of like we are the Wolves. Come check out our highly touted prospects and see them before they become a star in the NHL. Yeah,
or come see us so let me how do I put this? We were successful for quite a while, winning and so on, but there are only so many hockey fans in the Chicago area, right? There are a ton more than there used to be, but there's still not. It's not like all 8-10 million people are hockey fans. So you market the hockey, you market the good time, you market having fun with your family and friends. And yes, hopefully as people become more hockey savvy, you can tell them, hey, we've got prospects, we've got guys who are going to be a thing soon. So yeah, come on, see them. Hey, Jordan Binnington, that guy who put the Blues on his back and took them all the way to the Cup. That guy spent 3 years with it. He was pretty stinking good. He just wasn't quite stinking good enough yet to become Jordan Binnington in all caps, who's now the toast of the sport.
Well, you guys had to work with like Blues prospects and then Vegas prospects. How was that transition? I know at one point they were both sharing the team. Was that kind of awkward at all for you guys?
It was. I think initially it's a little awkward only because you're kind of. So Rocky Thompson also became our coach that year. So he did a magnificent job of forging one team, which can't necessarily be easy, right? Because most of the guys were Vegas guys. So obviously, and Rocky was affiliated with Vegas, so that they don't have a problem with motivation or knowing who they're impressing or knowing those kind of things. But the Blues guys could have felt left out or could have felt like, oh, I'm not getting time on the power play, or I'm not getting the ice time, or I'm not on the line I want to be on. But Rocky made it relatively easy right off the bat and was just, hey, the best guys are going to play. Everyone's going to get what they deserve. There's not going to be any favoritism. There's not going to be any, you're a Blues guy or you're a Vegas guy. It's just, we are Wolves guys, and let's go win a title. And we won a division title, which was pretty nice. And then, you can't win the playoffs every year, but it was a great season. And that just, if there were problems, they were nipped in the bud early for sure.
What's that transition like for like the people in the front office and like for you, and for example, when they did switch over their NHL affiliate team? I mean, was it much of a difference, or was it just the players kind of changed and we're still the Wolves, or like did your paychecks start coming from somewhere else and you were like, oh, hey, how's it going, Vegas?
Our paychecks are the same. Don Levin has been the owner from day one, and so that didn't change. It's just the partnership deal we have just changed. It was our partner was different in the NHL. As far as other things, stuff that most people wouldn't care about or know is that when you switch from one affiliate to the next, suddenly all the guys you've been branding and you have pictures of in Wolves gear, suddenly they're not there anymore. So you have to scramble a little bit in the summertime to get your stuff going and make sure you have guys who you can put on a billboard who are going to be with you and those kind of things. Probably the stuff I shouldn't say, but hey, since it's just amongst us girls, I can share with you. To be partnered with the St. Louis Blues in the Chicago market in Chicago is not the ultimate. I mean, the Blues guys, the front office, the players, they're all good people, but there are a couple of Hawks fans around here who don't really want to hear that you are building the next Blues player to come in, I don't know, to fight a Hawks guy or to beat the Hawks. People don't want to hear that. Oh, you got Jordan Binnington? oh, he's gonna maybe try to beat us someday. That's great. You know, some people don't want to hear that. So that was a bit of an issue of being with St. Louis. But with Vegas, who doesn't love Vegas, right? They're just so happy and gambly, and they got cool colors, and they're you know, it's no one you know, Vegas is just connotes fun. So it's a lovely brand to be and God, I can't believe I'm saying brand. That's brutal for a I swore I was never going to say that when I switched to the dark side of PR, but here I am. No, so that's kind of the main difference.
So when you are getting some sort of a switch, obviously this one's a little bit different with Vegas just kind of coming into the league, and they needed somebody to take some of their players. But is it more so like an elevator pitch from your guys' end? Like, are you guys on Shark Tank, or are they going to you?
It's kind of a mutual thing. Business, if I understand the question right. So the business for those who are not AHL savvy, there are 31 teams in the NHL. There are 31 teams in the AHL, and that's everyone has a partner. In the old days, there were a lot more AHL teams that were owned by individual businessmen, kind of like we are with Don Levin and Buddy Myers, where you own the team and then you made partners with somebody you kind of just you met and you discussed and you said, hey, I want to be with you, Islanders, or I want to be with you, Wolves, because you're centrally located. It's awesome that people can fly in and out from anywhere. We're right there by O'Hare. But lately, as more AHL teams buy their AHL partner, there are only about, 10, 11, 12 AHL teams that are independently owned. So there are only so many dance partners that are available. So when we decided it was time to find a new partner, Vegas was available, and maybe only a couple of others who weren't already locked into deals. So it was relatively easy to find each other, and Vegas liked us. We liked Vegas. There were a lot of friendships there already, and it was the perfect fit.
Do you get to be pretty hands-on with the players and coaches, or are you more of kind of like behind the scenes, like leading the PR squad?
So I would say at any given practice, either I'm at practice, or our social media coordinator is at practice, our media relations coordinator is at practice, or all three of us, and you just become part of the group. One of the things that I didn't really understand when I was on the Daily Herald side is just how close hockey operations people are with the players and the coaches. Like the most favorite people that players and coaches might have might be like the equipment manager. They just love that guy. They're around all the time for 6, 7, 8 months, however long your season that lasts. You are the people with those are the people players and coaches are with the most. With the trainer, I mean, you're in the training room almost every day. You travel together. It's just such a tightly knit band of brothers that's one of the greatest things about hockey or about team sports. As for myself or the people on my staff, sometimes we're closer than others. We don't always go on the road, so we miss out on that kind of camaraderie. But we're all just part of the group together, working together. Hey, I'm pitching a story, Rocky Thompson with X. Do you have time for an interview? Sure, great. Hey, player Y, somebody from Medicine Hat would like to talk to you. Do you have a minute to talk with them? It's just kind of a nice collaboration, and we are close enough that we are friendly, and it's great to be around them, but we're not that close that they don't get sick of us.
Is there any kind of like standout players that come to mind then that you've had to work with over the past few years, or is it like just kind of like hockey guys being hockey guys and they're all like pretty weird and out there and silly bunch?
There's some of everything, right? There are. I'll go most recent. So Cody Glass, he was the 6th overall pick, the very first pick by Vegas, picked in a couple of years ago. He joined us right near the end of the regular season because his junior season ended. The kid, he's 19 years old. He walks right in, scores 2 goals in his first game. In the playoffs, he's centering a key line. I think he had 15 points, probably tied us for the lead in points. And he is I would joke with him. He is Jonathan Taves. He's not quite as Captain Serious as Taves, but he just gets it. He understands the hockey. He understands how to play. He understands the media component. It's almost like he came out of the womb just understanding the hockey landscape and understanding how to make it work. He was. So when we as the playoffs rolled on, more and more media climbed aboard, right? And including Vegas. So we went out to San Diego for the Western Conference Finals, and a bunch of people came over from Vegas to do some media as well. And he just so professional, such a good kid. I wouldn't be surprised to see him stick with Vegas this fall. I wouldn't be surprised if he came and played with us for maybe half a year, just so he could play in every situation, power play, PK, get to do the best of everything. Then he goes to Vegas and he plays for 15 years. He's just that kind of guy. And there are several guys who just, especially these younger guys, they just get it. They understand what the whole hockey world is about. And there are your squirrely guys as well. They're your guys. They're your hockey guys too. I mean, that's you gotta have your hockey guys as well. And I think even the guys who are pros and get it. Here, let me. How do I describe this? I think the best part of a hockey player's day, and I bet you can appreciate this. I know you'll appreciate this. Is yes, you go out on the ice, you practice, you play whatever you've done, and then that's over, and you go into the room and you sit down. You're kind of stripping off your gear just a little bit of the time, but you're just sitting there and shooting the shit and just being buddies. And I think that is the best part of their day. That 10, 15, how many minutes it is, where you're just hanging together and just you're giving each other shit, you're laughing, you're having fun, you're joking. Maybe there's a little bit of serious hockey talk, and you just feel like such part of such a tight group that's just the essence of it. Am I wrong?
No, absolutely, yeah. Like I feel like any like NHL or professional hockey player that once they retire or leave the game, you ask them what they miss most, and it's the first answer is always the locker room, being around the boys. Like that's the go-to number one thing that they miss the most. Yeah, they miss the game, but it's just being around the guys all the time, just shooting the shit.
All of my stories start with. Sorry, I was just about to say all my stories start with. There's this one time in the locker room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's universal. It's no difference whether you guys or those guys. It doesn't matter whether they're 20 or 25 or 35. There is that. What I probably shouldn't. I'll share this anyway. What the heck?
Yeah, why not?
Another thing I enjoy, and I guess this isn't exposing anything, but the last couple of years we've had a ping pong table in the room. The guys had a ping pong table, so it is amusing to me to watch kind of that dance of who's playing who's good, who's not so good, who catches grief from the other guys, who gets the respect. It's just kind of it's a mini room within the room. It's just and the guys just eat that stuff up. Who beat who lost, who got crushed, 15-2 or whatever it was. It's just it just makes it even more fun for them and vicariously for me to kind of be on the periphery to watch that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny too because it's like some of us played college hockey, like not nothing major, but like you watch like being in the locker room with our guys and then watching some of the behind the scenes and like the AHL guys or NHL guys. It's so funny because they're saying the same things to each other. Like you said, they're playing ping pong. We played ping pong. Like it's just the same thing no matter where you play at. It's just guys being guys and just hanging out having fun.
No doubt, absolutely.
So let's talk about last year a little bit. How special was it to not only have to build up for the franchise 25th year, but then have to go in and build up this amazing Calder Cup run?
So the 25th anniversary was a ton of work for a lot of people. For me, it was mostly a lot of fun because I spent the summer going through. We have 24 years of archives of stories and clips and notes and just unearthing old anecdotes from the Tribune or the Sun-Times or the Daily Herald and just the way the things the coaches would say. Or I guess when the Wolves started back in 1994, it was a sellout the very first game, and they had they had like dancing girls, which obviously isn't a thing in hockey, but I guess at the time, you don't know what you don't know, or you just want to put on a great show. In 94, 95, the Hawks were on strike or lockout or whatever heck it was. So the Wolves had a perfect opportunity to make a big impact right off the bat. There were dancing girls. There was these guys are animals ad campaign. So I guess fans were throwing meat on the ice, I guess, in the early games, and it was just a different era at the start. And so just to kind of relive some of those notes and try to share some of those through social media and through videos, and you realize just how many good players came through. You know, Chris Chelios played his final year of pro hockey was with the Wolves, and he was only like a plus 45 or whatever and he didn't play the whole season. So even at whatever age he might have been about 45 then. He was still just such a great player. Kari Lettinen, Andres Pavlets, a ton of great goalies that come through. So the planning itself, we had a massive party downtown on Michigan Avenue, just outside Tribune Tower in August, where we were out there for 12 hours and then put on a laser fireworks show at 9 o'clock that kind of stopped traffic, like all those double-decker buses that go by. They'll just kind of stop there at Michigan Avenue and watch this thing. That was pretty cool. And then to kind of go on it and have a team that, and again, maybe this is something you can relate to. Obviously, you guys will play with whoever wants to show up at the rink or whatever team you're on, or whatever you just want to play. But it's great to kind of see a team come together and they just everyone kind of realizes at the same time that, damn, we're pretty good and we're pretty good together. And we got I think we had 5 different guys score hat tricks in the first 2 months of the year, and then some of them, Brandon Peary and others, went off to go kick ass in the NHL. So then we switched into a little bit of a defensive team, and suddenly Oscar Dansk and Max Lagacé are throwing up 1-goal games every night. So the second half where you couldn't score on us, and it kind of put it both together. Have guys like Cody Glass coming at the end, and it was just so much fun to kind of beat expectations because you're back against one every round. Grand Rapids, we're down 2-1 in a best of 5, and everybody's hurt, and somehow we win the last 2 games there. Iowa, we don't score for 2 games in games 3 and 4, and then we win games 5 and 6, win there. San Diego, I think there was a double overtime and an overtime win there. And Charlotte, we win game 1 thanks to Stefan Matteau's couple of goals. And then Daniel Carr gets hurt for good. A couple of the guys get hurt. And Charlotte was a great team as well. And everybody has to finish somewhere. But it was just great to have the vibe in the building and be competing for greatness again.
Well, it was an incredible year. I'm sorry, I was on mute. It was an incredible year. We were actually there at the.
I thought I heard snoring there for a second. I talked for 5 minutes on this one. Yeah.
No, we were actually there for the final game. A few of us at the Allstate Arena, and the atmosphere was electric. It was a great time. We loved it. Obviously, it didn't pan out the way that the Wolves had planned it to go, but it was still a great time. And honestly, it was you could see that it was just kind of the end of the road there for the Wolves, where they were just kind of dragging their back like behind. It was pretty much done. So what about this year? Do you guys have anything special planned this year, PR wise? I know you guys kind of pulled out all the stops last year.
We like to think we're special every year. Is that the official answer? It's kind of retooling. It's kind of building off the run to the Calder Cup Finals. We are. I know everyone cares about hashtags and stuff. We are hashtag We Are the Wolves. Ooh. And you can feel free to sing. You can. I would love to put together a video where you put guys, like Photoshop guys' heads over Lionel Richie or Cyndi Lauper or whatever from the We Are the Wolves video from 30 years ago. I don't know if I can pull that off, but and again, you guys are too young for that anyway. I'm dating myself by mentioning that. It's hockey. It's winning hockey. It's some of everything. Part of it is the winning hockey, and to us that should be the staple throughout the year. but it's also important to have the Star Wars nights, the Pride nights. The first night, October 5th, the first 5,000 fans get a replica Western Conference Championship banner. So that's a thing.
Nice.
It's yeah. Ooh. Hey,
Whoa.
if you hold on the line, I might have a deal for you and Bender's fans where we can give you the ultimate friends and family rate on really inexpensive tickets to come out to that. So we'll have to talk offline about that.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
you know, yeah, okay. Hey.
That sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah, it's about the hockey for the most part. We want to win. We want to take one more step this year. Getting to the finals was cool, but let's go all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a fun time to be, you know, a part of an organization or a team that's doing so well. Like you said, they had some big games that they probably shouldn't have won, but they still stuck it out. So one question we always ask, what is your favorite hockey like memory? Whether obviously you said you didn't play too much like at all growing up, but like over the years, you know, you said you were on the ice in 2010, all these years with the Wolves. What's like one moment that really sticks out that you just had a blast being a part of?
Oh, I'll give you one good one and one kind of on the reverse side. So
It's always good.
So the one, as you just alluded to, being on the ice at 2010, you know, iPhones were spectacular in those days. I think I had an iPhone 3 and really hadn't had it for too long. But I you know, I had video of, you know, I just kind of just took out the phone and just pointed it wherever, and there's Sopel with his family, and just so, you know, he was almost done with his career and just so overwhelmed that he won the cup, and sharing it with them. And you turn the camera and there's John McDonough, and he's so excited, and there's Q, and then there's it, being on there and being on the ice, and there's a couple of people on the ice, and then there's all the Hawks fans who just stayed to bang on the glass and stand on the seats and just scream for what seemed like an hour straight until the Philly ushers just kept banging up, just said, guys, you gotta go, you can't stay here till 4 a.m. And then and this is all, I'm sorry, this is all part of the same anecdote. So I go back up to the press box. Tim Sassone of the Herald goes back to the press box. Everybody goes back up there. Tim had been on the beat for more than 20 years by that time, and he wrote an unbelievable story that like won the Associated Press national awards for a game story. He wrote it so well. So you're up there, you're typing. I was done. He was still going. We were there so late. And this is the flip side of professional sports. We get on the elevator, I think at 2 a.m. We're the last two in the building, except we're on the elevator with the cleaning ladies and their big trash can. And that's the special backside of professional sports, for the party's over and here you're with the cleaning people. And then the other one, which wasn't so positive necessarily, to close out our last game of the 2017-2018 season. We're playing the Rockford Ice Hogs in the playoffs. Triple overtime in our last game, the longest game in Wolves history. Max Lagacé stops, I want to say 73 shots, which blows away the previous record, is maybe like top 5 in AHL history. But we lose in the third overtime, and to be in the room afterward, and to see the guys, you realize that, and they realize among themselves, they have sold out. They've given every ounce of energy and beyond to play 100+ minutes, and just to see the effort, I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe you guys can probably understand, but you've given everything and beyond for yourself and for your guys, and even though it didn't turn out the way they wanted, just to know that you did all you could have, it was just something special to see those guys in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely know what you're talking about. Just especially not being a part of it, just seeing how all out they were, and they gave it 110%. And at the end of the day, they still didn't achieve what they wanted to. Just seeing the, I guess, like defeat. It's hard to be around.
It's hard to be around, but yet at the same time, it would have been way different if they lost 5-2 and season's over. But everybody could look everybody else in the eye, and the coaches could look at the players, and the players could look at the coaches and go, you know what? If we had to go out, we went out above and beyond. We couldn't have possibly done one thing more to try to keep this season alive.
Definitely.
Yeah, I got to be honest. This might be one of my favorite interviews that we've done. I had just a lot of fun the entire time with it. I mean, Lindsey, we got to thank you for coming on and everything that you've already done for us so far and helping us kind of come out to the Wolves games and everything like that. So we really appreciate it. We loved having you on, and we'd love to have you on again if you got an extra couple minutes.
That would be great. So here's where I put my salesman hat on. Before, like on Saturdays before games, we got like adult hockey. We got guys skating out there playing a full game, on Saturday afternoon. How do the Benders not get out there and only a couple shekels? You come out and play, and you get the music cranking when you score a goal. How do you not come out and play?
Oh, man.
Sold.
Well,
Sign me up.
To be honest, we talked about it, but we figured, we don't want the Wolves guys to really feel like there's too much competition coming.
We don't want to lose any guys to the Wolves,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going to
here's
Vegas.
the thing. Yeah. So here's the thing. We make sure the guys are out of the building when you guys get on the ice. We don't want them to feel inadequate. However, the flip side of that is true. We do have, Wendell Young, the GM, might be watching. I'm a hockey talent savant extraordinaire. I might see a couple moves or some hands or something that need to sign a contract. So you never know. It's all our guys won't feel bad. You guys might sign a deal, and you might, Vegas might be just around the corner. One of you might be the missing piece that can put them over the top for the next year or two. So
I heard somewhere.
Let's look at that.
I heard somewhere that 365 of the players on the Wolves out of 600 make it to the Vegas Knights. And we could be 366, 67, 68, and 69 right here. We'll see.
Seriously, let's be realistic. Probably not more than 3 of you are going to be that. So one of you guys is going to probably won't, but 3 of you, I could see it for sure.
True.
Now you guys vote. Who's the 4th guy who's not going to make it?
Well, since Tanner hasn't been on the ice in 3 years, probably Tanner.
Probably Tanner.
Hey,
Cinderella story, Tanner, right there.
you guys don't know, man. I got my cardio going.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, if we don't make it as a team, I mean, our jerseys are pretty sweet. Maybe we'll get some sort of deal that way too.
Yeah,
So.
there you go.
We can hang you from the rafters.
Yeah,
There we go.
Awesome. Well, Lindsey, once again, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Awesome, boys. Appreciate it. Anytime.